Well, welcome to our Friday live edition of the Nikki Medoro Show. I'm Nikki Medoro. She's Kim McAllister. We will talk about that S show that was a debate. But before we do that, welcome and hit that subscribe button and that bell so you do not miss a moment. We are so happy to be live. Although, Kim, I wish it was under better circumstances because what in the holy hell did we watch last night?
Can I
Because that was
just
just awful.
CNN called it a train wreck. ABC called it catastrophic.
Yes.
And even when President Biden wasn't speaking,
Oh my
he
God.
he sat there
Hold
with
on.
his mouth agape.
So me and Kim were
looking-
texting last night. We're texting last night, and all Kim keeps texting me is, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. And I'm
Well, he's like this. In between, while Trump's talking, he's got his mouth agape. It made him look ancient. And I thought, oh my God, like the one thing we didn't want was for you to come. You know what it was?
Old, yes.
It was a completely different president from the one who gave the State of the Union address.
Yes, exactly. But there was a teleprompter. Okay, so let me just walk you through. So I'm making dinner. So I started last night. I came home. I was rushing around. I had to take my kid to the doctor. So I had my phone up, and I was like, I'm just going to listen to it. The minute Biden opened his mouth, I was like, shit. Sorry. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, okay. So he has a little bit of I thought he had phlegm, right? I was like, okay, he just needs to cough it out. Let's, because we talk, we know how that can
Right.
be.
They did say he has a cold right now.
Yes, exactly. So they said
But
he had
that
a cold.
was bad. Yeah.
Okay, this is what happened. I'm gonna just show you, and I'm gonna play it because this was really bad. And I'm sorry. This is about 45 seconds, and this was his first answer. I believe this was his first answer, I believe. And at the end is where he kind of trailed off.
Is look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest.
Oh no. This was we will get to this one. This was the stupid freaking golf comment, which was completely and totally.
I was like,
totally,
this is where we were going with we're going to golf now? Really?
Yeah, exactly. It was really, really awful. And I'm sorry. I lost. I thought that I had it. Oh, I lost the video. I don't have it up. But basically, President Biden just threw out this Medicare comment at the end. He lost his train of thought. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh no. And I just cussed. And I was like, he's lost it. He lost the debate in one answer. And It sucks that it was like that. It sucks that it was that. And then it just continued and continued. And this was my take. I feel like he was prepped to spew all of his policy accomplishments when that's not what a debate is supposed to be. It's supposed to be sound bites. Like, I've done more for the American people, and then just give one fact and then repeat that one fact. I don't need you to spew out numbers, Biden.
That's what we've become accustomed to.
Yeah,
a real debate.
Yeah,
a real debate involves facts and figures and making the case and supporting your argument with evidence. That's a real debate. We don't have those anymore.
No.
So yeah, what we were looking for was a president who looks strong, who sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And what's interesting.
Oh, we got you paused a little bit. Hold on. Do we have you, Kim? Well, while Kim is frozen here we go.
Sorry.
We have you back.
What's interesting is that if you listen to some of President Biden's answers, they were more full of way more substance than what Trump was spewing, right?
Yes.
Trump was just standing there. All he had to do was spew a couple lies and stand back, right?
Yeah.
But President Biden actually had some things to say, but his voice was so weak and he was such an ineffective communicator that you couldn't understand what he was even saying.
Yeah. It was, and again, I'm on X, Twitter, because it's the worst / funniest place to be when debates are happening. It just is. Okay. It's the quickest, and you can find a timeline. And I just kept saying the same thing. Take a shot. If Donald Trump is asked a question and then doesn't even in any way, shape, or form answer it. And it was literally almost every single question he was asked, he didn't answer. On the other hand, while Biden fumbled and mumbled his way through the question, he did. And even when he was like responding to the nonsense that Trump was not answering, but kind of making a comment about, he brought it back around to the actual question. I think there was one time where Donald Trump was asked about childcare, didn't answer the question. Biden reacted to what he did talk about and then brought it back to childcare. That's Biden. Biden is a policy wonk. Biden has done stuff for this country. So I'm just going to say this. While I do think that Biden lost, quote unquote, that debate, I also don't think that Trump won that debate. I'm not voting for somebody that spews lies in a strong voice. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not voting for somebody that's a dictator in a strong voice. I'm voting for policy, and Biden has policy. Now, is there a huge question of whether or not Biden is going to live in the next 4 years? I think there's a lot of concern about that.
It's because you're smart. It's because you're smart. And because you look beyond the surface. Yeah. But most people don't, right? Most people look at someone and judge them on surface. Like what happened with Nixon. He was sweaty, right? He appeared on TV. He was sweaty. They say it lost him the election.
But we've had TV for a long time, Kim. So I think that we
look at what happened last night, and all they're gonna see is they're not gonna see a liar and a con man and a cheat and a guy who when he wasn't speaking stood there with his lips pursed, like an ugly little horrible look on his face because he's a complete a-hole, right? And an awful ugly human being. That they're not seeing that because the other guy looked so ancient and incapable that's what stands out. And that's what people are going to go away from that debate with. They're not looking at policy. They don't go away with any words. There will be no words taken away from that debate. The only thing taken away from that debate is a general feeling that President Biden is too old. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Randy says it's embarrassing that these are our only two choices for the most important job in the world. Annie says, as I've said for a long time, Biden should have been a one-term president. He did his job and beat Trump in 2020, got some decent legislation done, but it was time to go. And I agree with you. I mean, and I've said this before, and I have no shame in saying this. Biden wasn't my choice. You know, originally, I was not a Biden supporter, right? But he was obviously the Democratic nominee, and he got my vote. I wanted somebody younger from the get-go because I did feel like we were going to be in this spot. I think it's extremely hard for an incumbent or anybody to voluntarily say they're going to be a one-term president, okay? But I will also say this. People that are like, oh my God, but then we have a Kamala Harris presidency. I challenge you, and I challenge you guys in the comments to name one policy that you think Kamala Harris would differ from President Biden on that would make her a risky vote for Democrats, because that's who we're talking about here. And there isn't, in my opinion, there isn't one. Some people just don't like her, and that could be sexist, racist, whatever. But as far as a risky vote for Biden, because then Kamala Harris might be president, she's going to continue the Biden administration agenda. And I agree with the Biden administration agenda. So I have no qualms voting for President Biden, even if I do think he's too freaking old, because I do believe that what he has set in motion, what I agree with right now, will continue. And so I have no problem with it. Karen says, Harris is good. She was in full attack mode on NBC yesterday. I do think that we can work on Harris's, and it sucks to say this because I do think it's sexist and racist and kind of her appeal. It's because of what we said. Just like Biden, the appeal, like the superficial nonsense that shouldn't matter but does.
Right.
She needs to work on, right? Like, you know, guys can laugh and be loud and boisterous. Like, look at Trump. He's an asshat, but people like him. A woman laughs too loud and too much, and all of a sudden she's annoying and people don't like her. It's annoying, but
so
whatever.
What you just said a minute ago is, I understand it, but it's been frustrating to me about Republicans who they say, listen, we don't like Trump, but we like his policies. And so we're not voting for the person, we're voting for what they'll do. And when it comes to a guy like Trump, who's a criminal and who's just a despicable human being, in my opinion, then I don't know how you can put policies over someone who doesn't love America, over
Right.
someone who's so dangerous for the way of our life, our system of government, everything else. So that doesn't jibe with me. But you just said it in the opposite, which is what, you'll vote for Biden even if you don't, think he's, I don't know, running at
If
full
he dies,
steam.
basically,
Right.
if he dies, I'm
Yeah.
not worried about Kamala Harris
What's
continuing in his stead.
interesting is they say that, I've heard it said that, it's not the person, it's who they surround themselves with.
Yes, of course.
Right?
It's too big of a job for one person. We all know
Yeah.
that. It is. That's why you have a cabinet. Biden doesn't do this entire job on his own. He appoints a cabinet that works with him, that helps him, realize what he has set in motion. He puts these people in place. Yes, he's the leader, but
Yep.
you think that he's doing everything on his own? Come on now, people. We know that's not true. Karen says the fact is Biden has good people working for him, regardless of his poor showing in the debate. Trump was just being a usual idiot clown self. Absolutely. And again, I will challenge all you Trumpers, Joe Blow and others. What policy did Trump mention last night? When he was asked for specifics, let's just talk about the border. Did he give any, Joe Blow? Did he? When he was asked, how would you deport all of the people? Would those include the spouses and what have you? Did he answer? Go ahead. Let's go back to the transcripts. He did not. He totally deflected. When he was asked, what would you do about Ukraine? Did he answer? No, he did not. When he was asked any of the specifics, did he answer? No, he did not. Joe Blow, you say you want to support Donald Trump. What policy specifically did Donald Trump share with you last night in how he would actually do it? What Donald Trump is excellent at is telling you nothing that you repeat, and you've actually done nothing. There is nothing. You're left holding a hot bag of air, which is literally what Donald Trump is full of.
I just feel like he didn't have to do anything.
Exactly.
Trump did not
You're
have
right.
to do anything. He when he was asked about January 6th, he circumvented, turned the question around, showing me that he has the mental acuity to spin, right?
Right.
So then he sat back and let President Biden implode.
Right.
And you could almost see the look on his face like, oh, my work here is done. I don't have to lift a finger. I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, because he's going to mumble and fumble his way. He saw it.
Which is
when
great.
Biden started fumbling, Trump was like, done. I don't have to do anything. I can just be myself.
Right. It was like, all that not preparing really paid off, because all he had to do was just sit there and let Biden go, pew!
Yep,
and that's what
exactly.
happened. So it didn't matter that he didn't say anything of fact or of note or of that voters could actually sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
Because, that's... I'm so
frustrating.
disappointed. I heard a lot of pundits after the debate say yesterday, oh, there are Democratic operatives right now talking about getting
Switching
President
candidates.
Biden to step down.
Yeah.
How do we do it? And the only way we can do it is if President Biden steps aside. But
Of
then you
course.
look at the polls and you think, okay, well, they're kind of neck and neck. Who else could step in and actually have a shot and actually, have the polls be more than neck and neck? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it.
I don't think that I don't see how. Well, how would that? Let me just ask this: how would you feel if you've had your primary, you voted for President Biden, then there's a convention, and Biden's not the choice? There's just another random person that the primaries didn't vote for. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I would not feel comfortable with that. I don't like that idea. I think that it's way too late. I think there's no. Biden is the candidate, the presumptive nominee. Sorry, Dems. This is the road you guys chose all the way back when he was the candidate the first time around. I mean, this was always an option. This was always part of the, like, even if you were like, oh, he'll only run for one term, this was always a possibility of going to happen. And the fact that if you thought that it wasn't going to, makes you a moron. So we should have been planning for this. And if we didn't, then this is the bed that we've made.
John says, I don't
yeah.
think it's over for Biden at all. I think he just needs to do a lot of speeches where he's not out of it like he was last night. I think he probably had a shot of cold meds because he was off.
Maybe, yeah. And again, it's one debate. It is early. We haven't, and that's a good point also, Kim. We haven't even had the conventions yet. It is extremely early. People's memories are very short. You know, a lot of people are talking about President Obama and Mitt Romney's debate, and I guess Obama, I don't even remember. I remember apparently Obama did terribly against Mitt Romney, and look, he won. I think it's different now with the internet and what have you. Like, not that the internet didn't exist then, but we're just so much more engaged now. But yeah, Louise, thank you so much for the $5 donation to our super chat. Here's to the live show. This is RBG all over again. People know when to walk away gracefully and not let your ego wreck the country. You know, and that argument's been made over and over again. You know, people holding on like RBG did, although we loved her and we love her. I mean, she's passed away, but yeah, she hung on too long, and then we were left with Donald Trump replacing her, and it sucks, you know, like, and God forbid he's reelected and somebody else passes away. It's, you know, we are in this situation because we have failed to prepare, right? Joe Fong, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. We love being live, you guys, and it's so fun. Yeah. I just love getting your guys' reaction. And last night, it was so upsetting. And now we have more of these Supreme Court rulings and more of these consequences. Look, elections have consequences. I was listening to an analysis, and while a lot of voters, a lot of Democratic voters, look to the presidency, look to the White House, who's going to be president, one analyst was saying Republicans, since Roe v. Wade was first enacted in the 70s, haven't been looking at the White House necessarily. They've been looking at the courts. And we need to start looking at the courts more than the White House. Not just the White House, but why we want the White House. Who are we putting in there? And that's the point, is because look at what the Supreme Court has been doing. You know, we're still waiting on the Trump immunity case. But what came out today, right? So the January 6ers, the obstruction of justice case, they kind of threw it out because they didn't fully obstruct, because there wasn't this destruction of documents and what have you. You know, could that help Trump in his immunity case? We don't know, but we do know that a lot of January 6ers that were already convicted are probably going to be relooking at their cases. At least some of them will. So then Roe v. Wade, of course. I mean, in Idaho now, I mean, obviously, I'm really happy that emergency abortions can still happen. But what did Trump say last night? I mean, the fact that he kept spewing about late-term abortions, after-birth abortions, with a straight effing face in front of the American people blew my mind. And also blew my mind that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash were just letting that freaking go. Like, there's no such thing as an after-birth abortion. And I wish that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, even in asking the question, I know they didn't want to fact check in real time, which is BS in my opinion, but at least throw out the statistics of how many abortions happen within a certain number of weeks. You know what I mean? Like late term abortions, what that even effing means. What kind of situation is even happening when somebody is having a quote unquote abortion in the third trimester? I mean, it is such a small percentage that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about a woman's right to choose. And it pisses me off when we're talking about something as huge as reproductive freedom. And then Donald Trump saying it should be decided by the states. It should be decided by a woman, her family, and her doctor. That's it. I don't want the president, and I don't want my governor in the doctor's office with me. How about that? It doesn't make sense.
A couple things. Mindy says, I'm very concerned about Republicans coming back into the White House. I feel doom. And that's interesting that you say you feel doom, because I was watching one of the networks last night, and I think it was ABC, and Terry Moran came on and said they did a poll about whether people still feel optimistic about what's going on in America, and they do not. More people said they felt pessimistic, they'd lost their optimism, and they felt this impending sense of, you know, negative energy about what was going on with America. So you're not alone. My mom texted me last night the same thing. Like, I feel scared now. Now I feel scared.
I mean, it's not like it's new though. I mean, let me just throw Is anybody surprised that Biden's old? I mean, I get it. I get that his
That old?
elderliness. Yes.
I mean, I knew the
come
number, but I
on.
haven't seen him in this particular state before. Maybe it was the cold, because I have not seen him. And you've heard the other
But
side.
his age has been his age, Kim.
But yes,
I mean,
it's true. But he's been running up on stage, and he's been, speaking at the State of the Union address where he was totally with it. And then it was like a sundowner event. Like, I don't know what the hell happened. God, Mama
he's
says.
always going to be old, but okay, yeah.
What I picked up on most was Trump saying immigrants are taking jobs from black people. Rubio was parroting those words afterward on Univision as well. I guess that's their big thing now, right?
They're going to try to get the Hispanic vote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or the black vote or what. And again, this whole idea of black jobs and whatever. Oh, Nick, thank you for the $25 donation. He says, thanks for discussing this live. Yeah, we definitely have to do that. And I just feel like, I know,
Thanks,
I know Louis saying, Nikki, stop wasting your time trying to get Trump's support to give you a logic answer to your questions. I know this. I know that I kind of am yelling into like the void here, but I do like challenging Trumpers to give me specifics. Like I get off on it. No, what I like is the pause. That's where I kind of get my like face. I go, yeah, I get off on it. I go, give me a specific. And then they usually get aggravated with me and they're like, you effing lib. That's usually the response, right?
Yeah.
I go, give me a specific policy. How would that look? Just specifically convince me of something. Flo, thank you for the $5 donation. She says the debate was painful. President Biden could have driven a truck through the lies with bravado. The media and Republicans will never let go of the optics. What we need to do, and thank you again, Flo, for the $5 donation. What we need to do again is we need to make a montage of the question and the non-answer of Trump. The question and the non-answer. And then when the answer was given, like what nonsense it was, right? I loved the how would you deport, right? All of those people. And then the non-answer. Like, it doesn't make sense. Harry, you're awesome for the $10 donation. I entered 10 puns in a contest to see which would win. No pun intended. No pun intended.
That's a pretty good one. I like it.
I love you, Harry. But I always need to have my little drum. You're awesome. Thank you, Luis, for the $5 donation. Thank you for your performance, Mr. President. Love future Supreme Court Justice Aileen Cannon.
I was talking to David Katz yesterday, and he said that's a totally relevant thought that actually could happen. Yeah.
I mean, I think that she comes with a lot of baggage and history. The thing with the Supreme Court justices is I think Aileen Cannon, and I'm not going to put it outside the realm of possibility. You could be right, Luis, but she's made a name for herself already, tied to Trump. So, you need somebody outside of that, I think, kind of like this
doesn't
outlier.
Matter. If he wins the presidency and they maintain control of the Senate, it's a done deal.
Well, who would she replace?
She'll be whoever wants to step down.
Who's going to step down?
There are people that have been calling for Clarence Thomas to step down. There are people that say it's time for Alito to go.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't change the makeup of the court, is what I'm saying.
People that are old and ready to retire and know that they want to be replaced by a conservative.
If you want an older conservative judge to be replaced by a younger conservative judge, I hear what you're saying. I mean, possibly. Thank you for the $10 donation, Cindy. Thank you for the live show. Wish Dems will learn about optics and focus on 3 specific policies with short sentences. Absolutely, Cindy. That's what. But again, like, Biden's closing statement, what kind of bull ass was that? Like, he was trying to throw everything into it, and Biden does best when he speaks from the heart. This was another clip that I had where he spoke from the heart, and that's what he does best.
Yeah.
Hold on here. This was when he was talking about his son.
Someone told him to talk fast. Talk fast and squeeze everything you can in.
No.
And he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker.
Yeah, like you could hear the passion in it. Like the moments of clarity, you know what I mean, was when Biden was speaking from the heart. That's what his closing statement should have been. Because I don't think he needed to draw from any sort of, which is awful to say, memory. Like, just speak to people. Biden does fine when he does that. He is the consoler in chief. Talk just from the heart. Don't try to pull statistics and facts and policy. Just talk to people. And when he kind of went away from that, I think is where he got into trouble.
I couldn't understand the president of the United States.
Yeah.
I could not understand what he was saying. It was a combination of trying to fit too much and trying to say too many words too fast, having this cold where you just don't have enough breath. The voice was weak, right? Yeah. Plus what you were trying to say is like, what? His voice would trail off at the end because he didn't have enough air to really pack that punch at the end of a sentence. And I don't think he's weak. And I don't think he's senile.
No.
But I think it was a bad scene last night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Americans will ever forget what they saw.
I mean, probably not, maybe not. I don't know. Look, here's the honest to God truth, and I said this last night. I will weekend at Bernie's Joe Biden before I would ever vote for Donald Trump. I don't give two craps. Yeah. I will vote for, I told you, I'll vote for a cardboard cutout of Joe Biden before I would ever vote for Donald Trump. So again, does it matter to independents, whoever the hell those people are?
Was there like 15% of people who said they haven't made up their mind? Like,
who are you?
Because the choices are really dramatically different. So I don't know what, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're on the fence, who are you? Like, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are so fundamentally different that I don't know how you're on the fence. So again, I don't think anybody gained or lost votes. What I'm worried about is apathy. That is what I'm worried about. And that honestly could happen on both sides. It's people could be like, I don't even care. And that could happen on Republican sides and Democratic sides. So I do really feel like it was a wash. I think that Biden's getting bad headlines, but as far as going to the polls, and I think it's a wash. Jim, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I just love you guys and how much you're supporting the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Susan for the $5 donation. Thank you guys so much.
10. She's slapping down a tenner.
I swear to
God. Nice,
God.
Susan.
You guys want to see my glasses? I probably put them on
again. Hot for Teachers coming back.
I know, I already showed them. I swear to God. Ricky, stop to agree with Nikki. Less destructive of the two. Exactly.
That's true. I just feel
most people
like
just stay home on election day. We can't stay home on election day, though. We can't.
I'm just I was so disappointed because it's not what I saw. And here's what some people might think. They might think, well, President Biden hasn't seemed this old until last night. He hasn't looked this way. Right. But what have Republicans been saying? He's too old. He has no memory. He can't get off stage by himself and needs help. He, all the videos they've been showing.
Right.
And so I've been kind of going, oh, you guys, you're doing you're editing the video. You're harping on something that's not even relevant, that doesn't even matter because he's mentally sharp. He's got it going on. And then you see last night, and all the things Republicans have been saying are wrapped up in a neat little bow and served to you by the Democrats.
But I ask you, does that mean that you would vote for Donald Trump?
Well, no. I mean,
okay, so that's all that matters. But that's all that matters.
But there are a lot of people that won't, though. There are a lot of people that don't see that.
No, Kim, that's not. I can't. Okay, again, the question is, do you think that people that would vote for Joe Biden are going to vote for Donald Trump after last night's performance?
I think there are some people that will. I think there are some people that will say, this guy, there's no brain left. And there's nothing left for him to give the United States. He's gone.
So I am a Joe Biden supporter.
So they might think, and I don't think this ever, but they might think, I would rather have a guy who comes off, is strong,
and takes away reproductive rights.
Nothing about that is okay with me. But there will be people that will think, that Trump somehow is able to wheel and deal and scheme for America, and that it's better to have someone doing something than someone that has nothing left.
I really don't agree with you at all on that. I mean, and only of a Joe Biden supporter. Now, if you're one of the weird independents, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden supporter, I support his policies. I believe in reproductive freedom. I support climate change. Those policies, there is no way in my realm of reality that I could think that Trump will in any way support where I think America should go. I just don't think that that would happen. Now, a Kamala Harris presidency would. And that's why I think that a Joe Biden vote would stay the same. That's why I just disagree with an independent vote, somebody like that weird. Yeah, absolutely. I think that could possibly happen. But a Joe Biden supporter, someone's like, I'm voting for Joe Biden, and now all of a sudden, because he seems feeble, he might die. I just don't see it. I don't.
I mean, I couldn't vote for Trump ever.
Exactly.
I also couldn't vote for RFK Jr. ever.
No, of course. Because why? Because why?
Why couldn't I vote for RFK Jr.?
No, why couldn't you vote? Well, sorry, whatever. Why couldn't you vote for Trump?
Oh, for all the reasons you just said. Everything I stand for, he stands for the opposite.
But Biden's old, Kim. But why wouldn't you just vote for Trump? Biden is old.
Right.
Didn't you see his feeble performance?
I did see that. And I still believe that he had an off night. Like Luis says here, bad night just happens. I think I sounded like that after 8 Long Islands before a Metallica show once. Happens to the best of us, basically. Go Biden.
Thank you for the $5 donation.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Luis. You're awesome. And I feel like that's true, that bad nights just happen, that maybe he had a cold and maybe it just was an off night for him. Regardless, even if that was his current state of being all the time.
Right.
I agree with you. I mean, we don't part company on the fact that he's, going to protect female reproductive rights, that he's not going to pull us out of NATO, that he's not going to pull us out of the Paris Climate Accord, that all of the things that are important to me are important to him. We're not going to, and so I agree with you on that. And I like him as a person, regardless of whether or not he comes off as old. I feel like he loves America, that he's worked his whole life to make this country better, right? And so you have somebody like that who believes in the Constitution. When he stood up and said, I'll preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, President Biden meant it. He means business on that. Yeah. So whether or not I think he's old and how he looked last night, this is of no consequence to me.
There you go.
But I'm a Biden supporter. And there are some people, I know you think they're not out there, but there are some people that are right in that middle. And there are some people that maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to say I'm smart, but maybe there are some people that aren't the best and the brightest, that can be swayed by the surface.
Those people aren't, I feel like you're talking about people that aren't engaged on the issues and are just looking at the superficial. True. Oh, look at Trump. He's bombastic. Or, oh, he said a funny joke. Those type of voters, I can't relate to. Okay. I just can't, because they're willing to give their country and their rights away to somebody that made a funny joke or whatever. I'm talking about people that are actually engaged on the issues, because I can't predict what somebody whose vote is so easily swayed would do. But I think someone engaged in the issues and in policy and actually knows what these two men stand for, I don't think that they were swayed last night either way. I just don't. I don't think if you're a Trump supporter, know what he stands for, is going to go for Biden, and vice versa.
I can't see it. When you have such a danger like Trump, right? I feel he's a menace and a danger to America. Yeah. And so when they say, and they always say, oh, this election has never been more important, I believe it is this time, right? I think that our country's at risk. And so we need every single voter, stupid or smart, I don't care. We need to all band together, whether you're looking at the surface or you're looking at the policies. Come to the blue side over here, because the red side currently is dangerous. It isn't always. I'm sure there are Republicans that love this country and would put it first, but the guy we've got running for the...
Yeah, you're frozen just a little bit. But yeah, the guy that President Biden is, he's an old guy. He's an old guy. Absolutely. Go ahead. We have you back.
No, I don't know why I'm freezing so much today. The Republicans, I blame them. But I just feel like it's so important. We have to gather these votes, and we don't have any wiggle room for a big mistake like this.
Yeah.
There's no error. There's no time for error.
No.
We can't have the president going around looking like a feeble old grandpa in the nursing home. We just cannot. We cannot, because it's too important.
Yeah.
Because what's at stake is we can't have a Trump. And so that's why the sense of optimism just had a pin stuck in the optimism balloon and is now sitting on the floor because people were like, we can do this, we can make this happen. And then they saw it last night and they're like, oh.
Well, we can make it happen. We just have to vote. Like, that's the thing. Like, we need to vote for Joe Biden and the Biden administration policy. Like, I'm still going to vote. We still need to show what a Donald Trump presidency would mean for this country. We still need to be just as engaged as we were. And Nick, I cannot sit through another effing debate. When that debate started, and I saw that we were only 30 minutes in last night, I was like, Lord, kill me now. Kill me now.
She's like, can you make it end? Make it end. She goes, let him end.
I was like, can they? And then I realized, and then when Dan Bash was like, you still have 50 seconds left. I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it because they have to fill the time. We actually have to fill the 90 minutes. They can't grab the hook and end this damn thing early. I was like, shoot.
Nikki, can this effing debate be over now? Is what you texted me.
It was so uncomfortable. I'm like, I wanted to turn it off, but I had to keep it on. It's just, it was awful. It was awful. It was awful. Oh, Chad, thank you for the $5 donation. He says, if you vote for Biden in November, just know you are essentially voting for Vice President Harris. That's fine. No way Biden makes it through a second term. I'm absolutely 100% okay, Chad, with a vice president or president Kamala Harris. Now, Chad, if you are not, I am completely open to you telling me why. I believe, I will let you know, that Kamala Harris is going to continue the Biden administration policies in which I fully support.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm totally being sarcastic right here in my sarcastic voice. I should take it back. I don't mean to be sarcastic. I'm being a total asshole. Chad, do you think there's going to be a fundamental difference between a Kamala Harris administration and a Biden administration? I don't. I just feel like people don't like Kamala Harris for whatever reason. And I feel like it's sexist. And that's why I was kind of being sarcastic. But
she's strong. Did you see her come out last night after all of the
thanks, Chad.
I'm voting for Joe Biden for sure. Did you see her, Kamala Harris, come out last night on the news shows? They kind of had her shore up the damage, right? And she was strong and she was well spoken and she absolutely brought it home. There is no doubt in my mind that Kamala Harris could run the country. She's totally capable. She's totally smart. The problem with her is, for whatever reason,
people don't like
she's not liked. And
well, you know what? We need to stop saying that.
She giggles. Oh, she has an elitist attitude. Whatever. It's the same misogynistic crap all over again. It really is.
I just feel like we need to stop repeating the nobody likes Kamala Harris talking point because, again, people do like Kamala Harris. She's a Bay Area girl. What? I'm saying it's June 28th, 2024. I'm done. You know what? I like Kamala Harris. I think she's going to continue the Democratic Biden administration policy. She's our vice president, likely going. I mean, I'm not wishing anybody death, but there's a high probability, let's just say, that she could be the next president of the United States. And you know what? She's going to defend reproductive freedom in this country. She's going to protect our environment. And hopefully she's going to defend us against another freaking Donald Trump, what other dictator, authoritarian regime he'd like to put into place. Look up Project 2025. We've talked about it briefly on this show, and it's complete effing nonsense. But it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening what conservatives would love to see happen to this country, getting rid of the Department of Education and nonsense like that. This country needs to kind of have a come to, I don't want to say Jesus because it gets too religious, but really has to have a reckoning of what's happening. Fundamental changes are happening. There was a Supreme Court decision, and it seems a little wonky, but it has to do with whether the federal government is letting agencies dictate kind of how they're run. And it's really weird, but it has to do with whether or not I think like the Department of Commerce was on some sort of fishing boat that had to pay for their monitors to be paid under them. It was a really wonky decision, but it has to do with where the money comes from. Now, agencies are the kind of the experts of their agency, and now the U.S. Supreme Court is saying the federal government should be the one to dictate the actual rules instead of the people that work within that agency. Have you known the federal government to be able to make anything clearer than the actual people that work within the agency? I don't think so. So that's just one way in which the government is making things harder with the help of the U.S. Supreme Court. And all of it happens right underneath our noses because we're not paying attention to everything. Lucy, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. I swear to God, I got to put my glasses on. I'm
Lucy
so
McAllister, my sister from another mister.
Oh, I thought you were going to say actually your sister.
No.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you.
She spells it differently. She's a McAll. I'm a McCall.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are a McCall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tony, also, thank you so much for a $10 donation. Why can't the first ladies debate? Because Melania is a no-show. She did not show up at that debate last night. She is not going to go to the White House. We talked about that this week. Melania is like, I am going to be persona non grata. I do not want him back in the White House. I wouldn't be surprised if you checked her ballot in November and she was like, I'm even voting for Joe Biden.
Like, anything that I don't have to go back to Washington, D.C. Yeah. But to your point, though, Tony, say that the first ladies did debate.
Right.
You want to pit Melania up against Jill? Because I'm telling you, Jill would wipe the floor clean with her. It would be over. It would be over before it began. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, again, I think we just need to stop thinking about the person necessarily that is Joe Biden and think about the policy. But not also forget who Joe Biden is. I just really hate that one performance, one debate is erasing the heart and soul of the man, right?
It was just so bad.
It was bad. I'm not going to say it wasn't bad, but he is a good guy. That's the thing. This is a good man. This is a good Catholic man who really does want to bring this country together, who really does want to work across the aisle on problems facing this country. What does want to listen to Americans, all Americans, versus Donald Trump, who all he could say is this is the worst country in the world, that everyone around the world is looking at us like we're the worst. He spoke so poorly of the United States. The only thing he spoke highly of was himself. And I don't know. It seemed so clear who was the better person up there. It's just that Biden was having a really, really off night, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. Vilma says the problem with Kamala Harris is that women judge other women too harshly, specifically if they're running for the presidency. Absolutely. You know, there is this antiquated view that women can't be in charge, right? Although when you look at it, men have been in charge for so long in our history, and look at all our friggin' problems. You know what I mean? Like, why don't we just give it a chance, right? Why don't we just see what happens, right? Chad says, my point being Harris is less popular and may not be able to beat Trump. I'm assuming you mean if Biden is not running at all. I mean, it's still Biden versus Trump. Teacher Lori says, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if it were a race between Trump and Harris.
Yeah.
If for some reason President Biden stepped aside.
No, I think that Harris would totally be able to go toe to toe with Trump. Absolutely. I do. I really do. Teacher Lori says, don't think she should have to change anything, but need to be realistic about misogyny in so many voters and deal with realities. Yeah, but I think that we can call it out. I really, really do. I think that, again, Kamala Harris would be running on the Biden administration policy. She's not, starting, breaking new ground here. Let's see. Mindy says, how can this debacle debate be patched up? Time. It's June. A lot of time happened. It's June. The conventions haven't happened. Who knows what's going to happen? Beaker says, Biden or Harris, I'm good. We have been voting against the other candidate for most of my life. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not voting for Trump. Again, I will weekend at Bernie's Joe Biden. He can be on my back. I could be moving his arms around, and there's no effing way I'm voting for Donald Trump. In no way, shape, or form. That guy's an asshat. He is a danger to society. He is a freaking liar, a convicted felon, and a sexual assaulter. How is this a question? I just don't understand how we're even having this conversation. I just don't get it. Can we talk really quickly, because we have about 15 minutes left? And this is nothing to do with the debate. I just want to bring it up because this was a Supreme Court ruling that came down today, and it has to do with sleeping outdoors and the homeless situation.
Right.
And it's because California actually has a hand in this decision. So the U.S. Supreme Court today upheld an Oregon city's laws aimed at banning homeless people from sleeping outdoors, saying it did not violate the Constitution's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. It was a 6-3 vote, split up along, conservatives and liberals. Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote the dissent, and she said it would leave society's most vulnerable with few protections. She added that laws that impose fines and potential jail time for sleeping anywhere in public at any time punish people for being homeless. Now, the Supreme Court agreed to intervene after state legislators in states like Arizona and California pointed to a court ruling in 2018 that they say tied their hands from clearing encampments and managing a growing and increasingly visible crisis. Now, this was a decision in the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that first declared it cruel and unusual punishment for cities to penalize someone for sleeping outdoors if no shelter beds were available. The problem, the problem is, if there was a shelter bed available, homeless people were saying, I don't want to go. That was the problem. That was the problem that a lot of people, Caltrans people that were trying to clear these encampments were facing. It's like, okay, I say we have a shelter bed for you. The homeless people are saying, I don't want to go. And now they're like, okay, well, how can I force you to go? Right. I can't fine you. I can't arrest you. Where do we fall along these lines? I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, we need more housing. We need more shelters. We need more places for the mentally ill. We need more places for the drug addicted. I know that we have this Prop 1 thing, this dream of Gavin Newsom here in California. Eric's like saying the shelters are not safe places. I get it, but I don't want to also see growing encampments either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want what I'm seeing to continue. They're saying, according to the New York Times, 171,000 people in California are homeless. That's nearly 1/3 of the country's homeless population are in our state. That's crazy. 1/3 of the country's homeless are in our state. That's not that we need help. We can't handle that on our own. We need to have some sort of ability. And I hesitate, Kim, to use the word force, but to force people to either, I'm a total lib. And so this pains me to say it, but it's either go to a shelter or out of sight.
Out of sight, huh?
Out of sight. You got to go. You have to go. You can't camp
under the overpass with you. You
can't camp on the sidewalk. Does that make sense? I mean, I hate saying it like this. I really do. But it used to be you were homeless. I mean, we need to build more housing and all the things I said before. But if you don't have a house and you don't want to go to a shelter, you can't also be on the sidewalk. How does that
Right. And that's the thing, is this ruling by itself looks like mean to the homeless. Like, you can't camp ever. You know, it's a crime to be homeless. And that's what it looks like. When in reality, all the states, many of the states, like California, have had judges rule you can't take somebody off the street unless you offer them a place to go. Right. So it's not like they're just taking these people and shoving them in the bushes down by the river. Right. They're saying, no, you can't sleep on Market Street. No, you can't roll your cart around Petaluma Boulevard and linger all day and set up a tent in front of, the theater, whatever. Yeah. You have to go to the shelter where we have a bed and accept help.
Yeah.
Or you know,
services need to be there. Everything
right.
needs to be there. Right. Exactly.
And I think the problem is that, as you said, we haven't been able to force people into doing that. And so they just get to choose whether or not they want to linger on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it hasn't been tenable, and the problem is out of control. Something has to be done. So I don't know. I'm more concerned with the ruling about the January 6th rioters, to be honest. That one I think that's crazy.
Well, it's not, and the January 6th rioters doesn't apply to every single January 6th person that's been convicted, by the way. It doesn't apply to all of them. The cases have to go back. Of course, it's disappointing. It was, it was kind of this caveat of, does it apply to all obstruction? Do you have to have this other, destruction of paperwork? This was tied to the Enron case, if you remember that, of destroying evidence and all those sorts of things. And is it going to apply to Trump's immunity case, which again, we are anticipating on Monday. So
yeah.
I'm more concerned about the immunity case than any of these cases altogether. I thought it was going to happen today. I was kind of hoping. I've been having my phone next to me this whole entire time and being like, come on. And then all of a sudden I was like, Monday. All right. So we'll figure it out on Monday and we'll have you guys here. All right. That is our show. Can I just do a bunch of thank yous again for everybody? Thank you. So many of you guys being here and showing up for us. And I love doing this live show. We do have plans in the works. I think I'll make the announcement in July. It's not July yet, but we do have an announcement coming. But that's my tease. I guess that's just going to be my tease for right now. But let's do some thank yous, Kim. Louise came in with a $5 donation for the live show. Thank you. Joe with a $10 super sticker. You are so very awesome.
Really nice.
Nick, $25, my friend. Thank you for being here. We love discussing this. We needed to discuss this live because, oh my God. Flo with a $5 donation as well. Yes, that debate was very painful. Harry with the no pun intended pun. We love you, Harry. You're so funny. Thank you for the smile. Louise with a $5 donation as well. And a thank you for the performance and the scary prediction of a justice cannon. No, thank you.
Nightmare.
Cindy with a $10 donation. Thanks for the live show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you so much for the $5 donation as well. Susan coming in with a $10 donation. Luis, again, $5. Bad nights do happen, Luis. Yes, they do. Chad, love ya. Thank you so much for being here and the $5 donation. Kim's sister from another Mr. $10 donation. Lucy McAllister, thank you. And Tony with a $10 donation and a First Ladies debate. That'd be something to see, Tony. Thank you. And thank you all for being here. Again, the super chat is always open. Hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up button to show your support for the show. We really do appreciate it. And please donate to our Patreon. To keep this show going, we depend on you. So go to thenikkimadoroshow.com, become a monthly supporter. PayPal is also open. Go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and donate at the email address, thenikkimadoroshow.com. And we do have a sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. Go to auntie-tabbies.com. and use the coupon code NICKKIM, NIKKIM. And there they have the guava barbecue sauce, hibiscus hot sauce, and the pineapple hot sauce. I have a new picture in there. Jim sent this to Kim. Do you see the picture in there? Look at that. Now I'm going to take this down. There was pork chop, coleslaw. I mean, look how delicious that was. Now, he sent Kim this message that said, yeah, it's probably a little too spicy for Kim, but that looks perfect for me. So he put the hot sauces and everything, the barbecue sauce on everything. Jim, you are quite the chef.
He sent me another message last night. He said it's a picture of wings. He said this is the barbecue sauce and the pineapple sauce together. Air fryer, hot wings. He said cheap food really quick. He said I had high hopes, hoping for a home run. It was a sad evening though. With the Auntie Tabby's barbecue sauce, the food combination on the barbecue sauce was delicious, but the debate broke my heart.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no. Okay. Yeah.
Food was good. Sauce was great.
The
debate
was
sucked.
Awful.
Yeah.
So you can raise your spirits of a disappointing debate by eating Auntie Tabby's island flavor sauces. So go to auntie-tabby's.com/Nick Kim, 10% off every single time you order, and it helps support the show as well. All right, you guys, until Monday, take care of yourself and each other. And thank you guys so much for being here. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.